Hello and welcome to part 3 in a series of tutorials where I will be showing you how to build your very own text editor from scratch, similar to what you see in Microsoft Word. At the end of part 2 we had something that looked a bit like this, where we had 4 buttons and a title all contained within a frame, so they sat nice and well together. And also we added the ability for that tag to be removed as well as added. For example, if I type in hello, here we can highlight it, press the button for bold, but we also added the ability to unbolden it as well if we press the same button again. At the end of part 3, this part, we'll add 2 more boxes, one to specify the font size, one to specify the font style. And these will be combo boxes, and we're also going to contain them within a frame so they sit well together. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of this running program here, and we can now access our code. So just to give you a reminder, this is the tkinter module we're using here to create this text editor, and we have the imports at the top, our window created here, our functions below that, then we have our widgets created, and then our widgets laid out however you want them to lay out, and then finally ending with the activate, which brings it all together and makes it run. So first things first is we need to create our frame and our combo boxes that specify the font size and the font style. And these combo boxes sit in a different part of the tkinter module called tkinter.ttk. And .ttk needs to be imported separately because otherwise you'll get a problem with similar class names. I've done a separate tutorial about this problem, and I'll put a link to it on this screen and to help you a bit if you need some problem here or need more understanding. Cool. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create the frame where the new combo boxes will sit into. We can do that by going down to where we create our buttons and our widgets. And if we type in tkr.frame and then in brackets type in screen, because this frame will sit within our main screen. And I've equated that to frame text box 2, because the first frame is what houses our bold, underline, italicized, and normalized buttons that we've created. Cool. So the next thing we need to do, you won't see anything on the screen now because this frame is invisible to the eye. It just helps with the layout. But the next thing we can do is we can create our combo boxes that will sit within our frame text box 2 that we've created. So let's create the first one. So if you type in tkrttk.combobox with a capital C, and in brackets we type in frame text box 2, i.e. the place where this first combo box will sit, and then comma text variable equals var. Now this text variable equals var is needed because what we're going to do as a functionality is when we press our buttons bold, we're going to link it to this font size and font style. And so hopefully it becomes a bit more dynamic. So next thing we need to do is equate this line here to a name of a combo box. In this case it's combo box 1 because that's our first combo box. The next thing we need to do is specify our values for our combo box. So we type in combo box 1, the name of our combo box, and in square brackets and quotation marks type in values and then type in equals. You can now open a set of square brackets and specify a few fonts. So these fonts here are ones that are supported by the tkinter module, and so I've just specified a few here: Georgia, Helvetica, Times, and Verdana. Hopefully you'll recognize Georgia as what we had here, the last 2 parts of this tutorial, as our sort of default sort of font style. And then next thing we need to do is type in combobox1.current, and then in brackets type in 0, which helps to set the index. Cool. So that's our combo box created. The next thing we need to do is specify what var is, otherwise we'll have a problem when it comes to running it. And var is a string tkr.string var, because these values here in our square brackets are strings. These are all separate strings. And so that works very nicely here in creating our first combo box that sits within our frame. The next thing we can do is we can put this first combo box, we can frame it and grid it in along with our second frame. So we can put we can lay out our second frame within our main screen, and then we can lay out our first combo box within that frame, and then we can run it and see what we get. Here, see, we have our first combo box with our specified fonts here: Georgia, Helvetica, Times, and Verdana, what we've listed as our values. Cool. So next thing we can add is our second combo box for some sizes. Do exactly the same thing we did before, is we can create our second combo box by typing in tkrttk.combobox, put it in our second frame, and this time text variable equals var2. And then what we can do is we can specify a few values for our combo box 2 by typing in combo box 2 in square brackets values and equals, and in our set of square brackets we create some strings with some numbers in them. And this is 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, up in 2s. We've got two 26s here. Interesting, so let's get rid of one of them. 28, 30, 32, 34, and so on to 36. And then we also set the index. Exactly same as before, we set our var2 as tkr.stringvar. We can grid our second combo box, and if we run it again, oh, I didn't clear the first one, so we can rerun it again. Here we have our specified sizes as well, 8 all the way going down to 36. We can keep this going on and on and on, but just showing you how it works, and along with our font styles as well. So now we can sort of in a position where we can specify what we want in our size and style. But if we look what we've done, we've created a really great way of specifying the font size and the font style through the use of combo boxes. But when we click the bold function or the italic function or the buttons that represent those functions, notice it specifies a specific style, which is Georgia, and a size, which is 12. And we want to change it so that it's a bit more dynamic, and instead of being Georgia 12, it be wherever you want it to be and what we've chosen in those drop down. So what we need to do now is we need to change it. So we need to get our string var for our style, which is var1, and our string var for our number or our size, which is var2. And we need to put that in and replace them, put that into our bold and italicized functions, and then replace them with Georgia and 12 respectively. So if we type in var.get for our font style and var2.get for our font size, we can do the same here for our italicized, var.get and var2.get. We can now have made it a bit more dynamic for these buttons. So now let's run it and we can start to test it out. So we can test it all on the word hello again, or let's do another one. Let's have subscribe to my channel. Make it a bit more of a text, a bit more visible to see what the differences are. So we've got Georgia 8 here. That's our standard, it seems to be. So we can change that to Helvetica, let's say 16. Bit bigger, change the font. Press bold, it changes the font and it boldens it. Press B again to remove it. And we can now specify something else. Let's do times, and let's do even bigger, 24. Press bold. It definitely looks like a different font than we had last time, and a different size. Press bold again. We can test this with underline, with italicize again. Similar sort of thing. Gets bigger and italicizes. Press I again, and we still keep that function of pressing the button again to remove what it does. So that's it for this tutorial. For the next tutorial, we're going to build upon this, maybe add some more buttons. We can also maybe do a bit of a cleanup. We no longer need this normalize. We can get rid of it. And yeah, I will see you in the next part. Thanks very much for watching.